Hey, welcome to another episode of Voice of the Valley. I'm Patrick Dangle, and our co-host today is going to be Matthew Huck. Matthew Huck is a faculty person at River Valley High School, but he's also the wrestling coach. And it's a pleasure to sit down and talk with not only the faculty people, but the students as well. And Matthew has brought several students, which we're going to be talking about some of the things that he's involved with, in particular with wrestling. So Matthew, it is a pleasure to be able to co-host with you today.
Oh, well, thanks for having us.
And it's my understanding that you're involved in a lot of different activities at River Valley High School. So tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm in my 20th year teaching at River Valley High School. I'm the ag teacher and FFA advisor. Also my 20th year of coaching wrestling, which we're going to be talking about extensively today, but also involved in coaching football and track as well at the high school.
Wow, wow. And you said 20 years, et cetera, at the high school. Was it a dream of yours when you came out of high school yourself to get into teaching?
No, not at all. I was in about my third year of school before I realized I wanted to be a teacher. I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, and that didn't work out, so I became a teacher.
Oh, very good. And since you're very much, very actively involved in the agricultural programs, what is it that you teach agriculturally?
We have some livestock classes at the school. We have some plant and horticulture classes as well, landscape systems management, and then we have some shop classes with mechanical principles that get some hands-on stuff for the kids. And
I noticed that in your resume, not only as a faculty person, but you're also a wrestler, or wrestling, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, no A in that word.
But how did you get involved with wrestling?
Well, I was real young and kindergarten, actually, back in 1981, and brought a little slip of paper home and told my mom I wanted to get involved with it. And 38 years later, here we are with a lot of experience through grade school, high school, and now coaching.
Oh, very good. And you had brought 4 of your wrestling students here at the studio. How many students participate in wrestling?
We have 17 kids on our high school team.
Oh, very good. And just out of curiosity, I'm sorry I do not know this, but when is the season for wrestling?
We start as soon as football season's over, usually about the first week of November. Then our meets and so forth start in December. And then we're actually getting close to wrapping up our season with our league tournament this weekend coming up. Good. And next weekend is our sectional tournament.
Yeah, very good. And so the students that you brought, we're going to meet a couple of the students, and then a little bit later we'll bring on some more students. So tell us who you brought today.
Well, today, the reason Mr. Edwards wanted us to come out was because we actually qualified for the state duels tournament, which was this past weekend. We won our region for the first time, and for the first time in River Valley history, we did qualify a team to the state level. Fantastic. Which is pretty exciting. So he wanted to bring us out. So I do have right here beside me, I have Eric Weber, one of my captains this year as a senior, and Jake Edwards is a senior captain as well this year on our team.
And so perhaps we can start with Jake, and maybe they can tell us a little bit about who they are, why they're involved with wrestling, what do they hope to do, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my name is Jake, as I said, and I'm a senior. I've been wrestling since I was in 3rd grade, and this will be my 10th year wrestling. I've done some pretty cool stuff over my career. I was the first freshman to ever make it out of sectionals, and then along with a few others here, Eric Weber, he did it too the same year. And I've done a lot of cool things. I was for a while until this past year. I held the highest placer at the WCAC tournament, big tournament we go to in our schedule. And I'm a 3-time district placer. But I've never made it to state yet. But it's the goal this year.
Very good, very good. And how about you, sir?
As I said, my name's Eric. This is my 11th year of wrestling. Started when I was in kindergarten. Took a little break between 6th and 7th grade, came back my 8th grade year. I just recently broke the old school record with the most wins in a season. Jake has the new one now. I'm a 3-time district qualifier. I've never placed, but I'm looking to go to states this year.
Huh, very good, very good. You know, most of us, when we hear wrestling, we see on TV where you have Hulk Hogan throwing someone a chair and things of that nature. Is that what you guys do?
No, sir.
Not at all.
What tell me a little bit about what wrestling incurs. What do you do?
We're on the mat for 6 minutes with just one other person, and we don't have any utensils to use. It's just man to man, just
No chairs?
no ropes. And we have a point system, of course, and the goal was to put them on their back and put them away and pin them.
Oh, okay.
So
And so how do you score points?
Every match starts on your feet, and you got to take a kid down and get control of them, and you get 2 points, and you can turn them to their back, and you can get what's called near fall points. You can either get 2 or 3 near fall points, and that determines the ref how many times he swipes, and how long you hold them on their back. That determines
see.
near fall. Or you can put their shoulder blades on the mat, and it's considered a pin.
And so when you play in the tournaments, etc., is it a team sport or an individual sport?
It's a little bit of both. On the team-wise, if you win a match, you get points for your team, and then you can also individually place at tournaments by winning matches.
When you were in high school, were you involved in wrestling?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, very involved with it.
And what are some of your experiences? You know, did you become the Hulk Hogan of Ohio?
No, I was a one-time state qualifier, and that's a pretty big goal in Ohio. Ohio is one of the top states in the country for wrestling, so it's not easy. These guys, both of them mentioned that is their goal this year, to be a state qualifier, and they both have a shot at it if they keep their head right and wrestle well. And then, you know, as coaching, I've been several accomplishments. Our biggest one was just this past weekend, wrestling at the state tournament with our entire team.
Oh, okay. And so are there scholarships available on the wrestling?
Yeah, a lot of scholarships really go out for kids. A lot of D3 schools don't have the big programs, things like that, but if you are good enough to wrestle Division II or Division I especially, yeah, if you're good enough, they will pay your way through school.
Oh, very good. And just out of curiosity, both of you are seniors, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I know both of you are very sad that graduation is coming up very soon.
Mixed emotions.
Mixed emotions. Well, you know, in high school you meet a lot of really good people,
Yeah.
a lot of friends, and so are both of you hoping to go on to wrestling in colleges or schools, or what's your goal with that?
Yeah, I'm hoping to go to school in Toledo, Lourdes University, and a guy on our neighboring school, Guy Academy. He was pretty good, and he went to Lourdes, and they give him a pretty good deal on some wrestling scholarships. And I went up there a couple weeks ago for a visit, and really liked the coach and really liked the facilities and everything. And I think I made my decision. That's probably where I'm going to go. So
Oh, okay. All right.
further my education and wrestling career there.
I'm not quite sure if I'm going to wrestle in college or not. Kind of more into track, but I mean, I might.
Oh, okay. All right. So what does it take to be a wrestler? Just a desire to get in there and throw someone to the ground? And
Yeah, one thing that wrestling does teach is discipline and dedication, because if you're not disciplined or dedicated to the sport, you quit, really, essentially. You just it's not something that you just show up to participate in. You have to be all in, pretty much. So a lot of kids show up just to think it's something to do, and like I said, a lot of them usually decide it's not for them.
Oh, okay. All
It
right.
is a very tough sport.
Huh, okay. Well, as we get the new students to come in, et cetera, how does one condition oneself? Do they lift weights? What is some of the things that are behind the scenes to make a good wrestler?
Well, first and foremost, really the discipline. You have to be disciplined in really any sport, but in my opinion, more so than anything is wrestling. But we do lift weights throughout the season. Conditioning is huge. A match is only 6 minutes. A lot of people say it's only 6 minutes, but those are the most brutal 6 minutes you'll spend a lot of times. If you go the full 6 minutes, that is very brutal. So a lot of mat time, a lot of drilling at practices. A lot of teams run a lot for conditioning. We don't run a whole lot because in order to get in shape for wrestling, you have to wrestle. We're not runners, so we don't do a lot of running to get in shape. We do drill a lot at practices and live wrestle to get that conditioning that we need to last those 6 minutes, or even if it goes into overtime.
So are there key techniques or moves? I'm sure that if you have a signature move, you don't want to tell the other people listening, et cetera, but is it just brute force, or is there techniques behind it? What is it about wrestling that makes a wrestler a wrestler?
Obviously, there is technique. There's technique in any sport you have, but so you learn your technique. You mentioned brute force. Sometimes you want to encourage the guy to do what you want him to, and that sometimes comes with brute force. And we talk about that a lot as far as a lot of times what encourages kids to keep with wrestling is that ability to take another human being and just essentially force them to do what you want them to do.
I see.
That's kind of the cool part about the sport.
I see. So you brought two more of your students here wrestling.
Yeah, we've got another senior, Joseph Burns, and then a freshman who won a match at the state duels for us this last weekend, Nathan Cato.
Nathan, tell us about yourself.
I've wrestled for about 10 years now, since kindergarten, and just as a freshman, I think I've had a pretty stellar freshman year, and I hope to go to state this year.
Okay, good.
I started my 8th grade year, mainly for like a school project, but it turned into more than a school project. I've grown to love it. I was Huck's second ever sectional champion, and I've accomplished great things in my past 5 years.
Oh, very good, very good. And what are your goals? I know you're a freshman, but are there some directions that you hope to go in your high school, that you're completing your high school?
Yeah, actually, I would like to go off from high school and actually go wrestle in college. I'm not real sure yet what to look into. I actually haven't even really filled out any applications or anything, but I do hope to go on from high school to wrestle in college.
Oh, very good. And how about you, Joseph?
I'm looking at some colleges. I have a campus visit Friday, so hopefully that turns out good. It's up New Philadelphia. It's Kent State, Tuscarawas.
Oh,
but
okay.
I got 2 goals for this year: state tournament and get my 100 career wins in high school. I'm getting very close to the 100 career wins. Only have 11 left, and hopefully I'll fulfill them goals this year.
Very good, very good. And you have mentioned that there's an upcoming wrestling match. Tell us more about that.
Well, this Saturday we go to Vinton County for the TBC league meet that we wrestle in. The hockey and Ohio are combined for the wrestling league tournament. We finished 4th last year, and obviously expecting to do better than that this year. We got some good teams in our league, some good kids in weight classes. But I think we can compete with all of them, and hopefully able to win a league title for the school.
And some of the teams that you are playing against, are they large schools, small schools? What kind of schools do you play against?
I am going to correct you. We don't play in wrestling. We just
okay.
wrestle.
Okay.
We don't play games. It's kind of a standing joke, I guess. But
so
yeah.
I fell into it, huh?
Yeah. So, but we do wrestle against some schools that are a little bit bigger than us. Well, Athens is in our league, a little bit bigger than us, but we are one of the bigger schools. But then we do wrestle against some smaller schools because, like I said, both divisions are combined for the TBC and wrestling, where in a lot of other sports they're separate.
Yeah.
So.
Very good. And do you get out of state, or is it just purely in the state of Ohio?
We do go out of state a little bit. We went to the WSAZ tournament, which is down in Huntington. A lot of teams down there. We went up to Parkersburg South and had a duel with them this year. Very tough team, on the national ranks, ranked in the top 25 in the country, and we went and wrestled them. So we do travel a little bit. Now, obviously, this time of season, we're in state, coming up on sectionals and things like that here in about a week and a half.
Interesting. I'm always curious, and I'm going to ask the students this question. Why should students consider going to River Valley High School?
Well, at River Valley, whenever the football team breaks it down, they break it down on family. With that being said, we are like a family at River Valley. We respect each other, and we show great sportsmanship in any sport we have at the school. River Valley is a great school. The staff and all the students are spectacular, and I couldn't ask for a better school to go to.
You want to add anything to that?
Basically, Joseph, like you said, we're very respected in sports, and even though we do have our rivals, we like to compete with them, but a lot of teams do show us a lot of respect.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed with T.R. Edwards, who's the principal, and he's brought on a lot of different individuals, you have a very good network of faculty. I have yet to see disinterest in the students' well-being. Working there for 20 years, I think, speaks very highly of the school system, etc. I know we can always improve. I know we can always do something a little bit different, etc. But it's the spirit. And I know that you're involved with the 4-H. Are any of the team members, are they involved with the FFA? Yeah, FFA?
Yeah, I think 3 of the 4 are, and I think Eric was at one point in time.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. And what's the FFA? What, for the listening audience, what is that again?
It's a lot of people know what 4-H is. It's very similar to 4-H, but it's based out of the school. It's a youth organization in our school based around agriculture.
Yeah.
It started out as the Future Farmers of America. They kind of disbanded that a little bit, I guess you might say, because agriculture is way more than just farming. So now it's just all aspects of agriculture and getting our kids involved in the field of agriculture.
And are either of you students, do you live on a farm, or do you?
Yeah.
What kind of farm do you live on?
Just I wouldn't say a large farm, but a decent-sized farm. Especially, it's just kind of hard to keep up as a family, but we do live on a farm. We make a little bit of profit off of it. And,
oh, okay. Is it a cattle farm? Is
a little bit of everything. We have cattle. Sometimes we have pigs. We have chickens and goats and etc.
Interesting. And
I don't really, but I've helped out others on their farm in the summers. It's mainly how I make my money in summer, but I don't.
I understand. And Matthew, do you live on a farm?
Yeah, born and raised on one, and then now have one of my own. Got 2 kids that live on there with me as well. So.
Well, fantastic. And would you say that most of the most of the students are a farming community, or are they a city community?
I would say somewhere in the middle, because just these 2 sitting here beside us, one of them lives on a farm, one of them doesn't, but neither of them live in the city. We're a rural community, so most of the kids do live in a rural setting, but probably 25% or less actually live on a working farm.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we have one more guest, and we're going to have your students exchange microphones with the principal, T.R. Edwards. T.R. is one of those individuals that I really have come to learn to respect. And how long has he been principal here at the River Valley?
I would say about 8 years.
8 years.
All right. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And
He was actually a student when I started teaching.
so you're older than he
I'm
is?
a little bit older than he is.
Well, very good. TR, it's always a pleasure that your program, when you spotlight students and you spotlight teachers, etc., you know, it's just phenomenal, the staff that you have.
I do have a great staff, yeah, and Coach Huck here is one that is a great representative of River Valley High School. You know, I apologize that I'm coming in. I got held up in a few other things, but you know, I think it was great to feature our wrestling team today. You know, I'm personally extremely proud of them. I know our entire school is. We did some things for them there to send them off to state duels that those hopefully was pretty special to them and pretty special to Coach Huck, because you know, like the guys were saying earlier, it is kind of like a family up there, or at least that's the atmosphere we try to have, Patrick, and the kids have been great about falling right into that, supporting one another. You know, you look at great leadership from these seniors, and then you see really strong underclassmen coming up as well, and they're buying right into that philosophy. And a lot of that work is from what Coach Huck has done over the years. You know, he's worked some tireless hours, anywhere from we little kids rolling around in the back wrestling room, all the way up through. He even gets the what do you call the washed up warriors? That's what it is. So yeah, a lot of time and effort. You know, and I definitely commend Coach Huck and what he does there. And like you had mentioned earlier, great staff. You know, it goes back to their commitment to our school community, and our kids. You know, those young adults, athletes. They really work together and try to have a common goal of our schools. So it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Hey, and I'm just curious. You had mentioned at the very beginning about sports, and that you're involved with football, you're involved with wrestling, basketball,
Track.
I knew that.
Pole vaulter, Patrick. Pole vaulter. Yes.
Wow. And does he hold the record for pole vaulting?
I've coached kids that have both school records, but no, I do not hold any records myself.
Whenever it comes to pole vaulting, you hope that you can find somebody that knows enough about it to coach it and coach it well. So, and Coach Huck definitely does. So he's, you know, made some progress just in a short amount of time with our new pole vaulters that we started just a few years ago, and that's amazing whenever you fling yourself up in the air and over a bar up in the air. So
how high did they go?
The boys, I think school record is right at 10.6, and the girls is 8 foot, I believe.
So when you say 10 sticks.
10.6, 10 foot 6 inches.
10 foot 6. Oh, I thought you were saying 10 sticks. Depends upon the size of the sticks, I guess. and of wrestling, of football, of track, let me guess what your favorite sport is.
Go ahead. It's usually pretty simple.
It's, of course, wrestling. And, you know, TR, you're very much of a supporter of all the activities, not just in the educational field, but all the after-school projects, etc. Care to tell the listening audience a little bit about why you encourage students to be involved in different sports?
Well, you know, students can get involved in a number of ways at a high school, and every time, it seems like every year students, they will maybe not get involved their freshman, sophomore year as much. Then they come through their junior year, they start becoming involved, and then their senior year, they've really become involved. And then they'll come down to us and they'll say, man, I wish that I got involved, you know, earlier on. And we're like, we tried to tell you this, you know. And I have students in my office sometimes, and I'm like, look, if you just come to school for the reading, the math, the science, the social studies, you're only getting about 50% of what you could get.
Yeah.
You know, learning how to socialize, learning how to interact with others. We're learning how to work together in a team, come up with a goal, working to achieve that goal. Those are lifelong skills, and skills that really our society can use. Those,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
they may
that's
not
true.
be able to be measured by a bubble, but they're definitely skills that those students need. And becoming involved, you know, I see, if we take the example of wrestling, I see the hard work and the dedication that those students put in day after day, and really that's a life skill. And disagree, you know, I don't know what you think, Mr. Huck, but I think that wrestlers, they learn how to work.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We talked about it earlier as far as the discipline of it, and I've had a lot of wrestlers go on into the military and talk about the benefit that wrestling's given them as a member of the military.
That's interesting. We only have a couple more minutes. I asked the students this, and so I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Why should people come to River Valley High School?
Well, you know, like I remember Joseph, I heard him say earlier, talking about, you know, the atmosphere and the family and things like that. Recently we just had a new addition to our school with our resource officer, and you know, he has said that he's enjoyed, you know, being there and working with us, and I think he also feels like he quickly became a member of the family. So I think that's one of the things, you know, you don't always agree with your family, and you might have some conflicts with your family, but at the same time, same time though, you still work together toward a common goal, and I think that's what we have at River Valley, or we continue to strive to have, is that family atmosphere and working together to build everybody up.
Yeah.
You know, going back to your question earlier about becoming involved, I continue to hope to see students more and more get involved. We completed a survey just last week in one of our departments, and asked the students a few questions. One, asked them, are you involved in extracurriculars as far as non-athletics? Are you involved in athletics? And then we asked them, do you have a connection with the adult in the school? If you had the first adult you would have a connection with, and what's the second adult? And you know, those connections that students have with adults in our school, that they feel like they can go to them, talk to them. Those adults may not give them the answers, but they can provide them with the guidance of where to go to find the answers. We have two great school counselors in our building. I would say that they're the two best around, you know, but maybe I'm a little partial. But just referring students to who they need, and it works well. It works well.
Any final words of wisdom?
Yep, I've said plenty of it.
Well, I want to thank both of you for, number one, letting me co-host. I want to thank Mike Thompson. Mike is the Instructional Design and Media Services here at the University of Rio Grande Community College, who's involved with a variety of the different shows. One in particular is The Voice of Rio with T.R. Edwards. I'm Patrick Dangle, and I thank you for listening.